Hi, welcome back to the Jack and Clint channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Today we're discussing Married at First Sight. We got Decision Day, part number 1. You heard me correctly, part number 1, because we didn't get everybody's decision. Which I don't know why they couldn't last another 5 minutes, extend it for another 5 minutes so we can get Shaq's decision. I'm sorry. I spoiled it for those who didn't watch it. By this time, y'all see this video, most of y'all have already watched it anyway. You're just waiting to see what we say on our review. I don't know why they didn't extend another 5 minutes. And just do Decision Day all in one.
Yeah. I would have rather that.
Cut a commercial. Cut a commercial break.
Yeah.
But where you want to get started? Let's go in the order they came in. Let's start with Nicole and Chris. Oh, no, it was Jasmine and Airris.
Yeah, it was Jasmine and Airris first. I think it was funny that they did them first. I think I would have. I know how they do it though. They did the crap shoot at the beginning, the two you know, and then the crap shoot at the end.
Crap shoot at the end.
But of course we open with all the couples. They have spent their last night together and they're going to spend a night apart before the actual decision day. So we see all the couples packing up, get ready to go to their different spaces. I noticed all the ladies stayed in the apartment.
Right.
All the husbands left. So we see Jasmine and Airris. And Airris Airris is packing up to leave for the night, and you know, it's like, how you feeling? It's gonna be different. You're gonna be leaving. Duchess, how you feel about it? Duchess is unbothered. And they both, with a lot of the couples, they were like, they're happy to have time apart so they can just really think about what their decision is going to be, because they haven't had any time apart in the whole 8 weeks really. Because of course not, because they're making sure you're around each other all the time because they're trying to make this relationship work out for you guys. But they talk about what's your reasons that you might say yes, and she was like, it's because we have fun together, and you know, I'm hoping that after decision day that, you know, will grow more for him. He says his reasons he would say yes is because, you know, they have a good foundation, they have a good time together, he understands why they're matched, and as difficult as he may have made it, at first he said, I feel like we still grew. And so these are his reasons why he would say yes. For her, she said, you know, she saw how they actually had intimacy when she didn't think they were. Because even for her, when the experts, when Dr. P in particular came, it was like, you know, they had to reprogram them that intimacy is not just sex, it's other things. And so they realized they actually were getting closer and they had intimacy outside of that. And for him, he said, you know, I had to trust the experts, and the fact that they matched us together, and that they thought if they thought it wouldn't work, they would have said so. Yeah. So, you know, he wrote with that. And so
getting all the political answers, dog.
Because
all the political answers. He's getting all the political answers. He's looking good right now. I mean, at this point, he's looking good right now.
Yeah, but then the real Airris came out much later. I was like, there he is.
Show me the real you.
Don't you always take my line. This show was the real you. And that's what happened. So we see them come to their decision day. Before they actually meet with the experts, Jasmine and her little vignette, she was like, you know, I wish we had more time because I feel like, you know, they had potential there and they had a solid foundation. Airris says, you know, in going to the decision day, I just have to trust my intuition, my inner source to guide me. And yeah, okay.
You know, he's in the meditation and all that, so his inner source is never
okay.
It's never great power.
Dr. Pepper sitting down talking to Pastor Cal before they actually meet with them was like, you know, call me naive, you know, I'm overly hopeful, you know, but since the last meeting, I feel like he's made such strides, the way they were positioned, you know, the fact that they were more touchy-feely. So
they were more touchy-feely.
Yeah, maybe
definitely.
Yeah, maybe in the last week, you know, something might have happened. And Pastor Cal was like, you know, it's tough, but you know, I hope he's seen something in the last week or so that he didn't see before, that would encourage them to be to be in the marriage. So
I know he said marriage, but it really is what he wanted to say was to make him attracted to this young lady.
Yeah.
Because all of it, the bottom line, it always came down to attraction.
Until again we see the real Airris come out again.
Correct.
And we see what it really was about. But anyway, so Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper sit down and talk to Jasmine and Airris, trying to get, what's their decision. And Jasmine was like, the last 24 hours without him were kind of weird, but I'm at peace with what I feel like, decision I've settled on. Airris was like, I noticed that, we're both non-confrontational, and so we have a history of running from tough conversations, but we got to the point where we were more comfortable with dealing with the hard conversations and having them. And I've seen her grow and speaking up for herself. And, I've gotten to know her mannerisms and got to know when she's feeling a certain type of way, so that's been really cool. Jasmine says the same thing. We were able to talk like adults and validate our feelings and move on. We didn't get stuck there. And
I think something she said too, I'm not cutting you off, that said that was good. With the Airris started checking in. He started talking to her. He started interacting. Remember, that was a big issue in the middle of the season. That he would leave all day to work and never call. Or he never check in. He never talked to her. But even towards the end of the relationship, he was doing all those type things.
Airris says, what he had in his mind was like, how much more could we grow if we had more time. And, he said, coming out of this process, I realized that marriage is really something that I want, even if it's not, here, because it felt good to have somebody to come home to feel good with and have a peaceful household. And so that's his main thing. And Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper was like, okay, so what were some of the challenges that you all faced? And she was like, Jasmine said off the rip it was him expressing that he had a lack of attraction. And even with that, even though it hurt my feelings, I was trying to be supportive and encourage him. Hey, don't worry, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You can say whatever. And she says, I think we will match well and we're compatible. Airris says, I feel like she's giving 100%. I'm not sure that I have, because, I started so late. I was in my head the first 4 weeks. And she came into the process open and, ready to deal with it. And I didn't.
Right.
And so he said, I still feel like there's a strong connection there. But in the end.
Well, he said, I wish I'd been more vulnerable at that time. And she was like, she said something to him about, shoot, I just lost it. It was about a connection they had. But she's like, it could have been that way. But he didn't come in wide open. So he came in, Yeah, that's what she said. You didn't come in wide open like I was. You came in reserved.
Right. And so Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper's like, okay, so it's time so we can get your decision. And so Jasmine goes through all this. She says, I know what I asked for and what I prayed for and the desires of my heart. And in the end, her answer is, I want a divorce.
Got that one right.
Okay. Airris says, it has been a lot of good, but we need more than that to sustain the marriage. And, I came into this process thinking I would be smitten. Let me just stop right there. I was like, you're not stupid, you sound. I came into this process thinking I'd be smitten with my wife and, that I would want to get physical with her. It's married at first sight.
Not sexual at first sight.
But not just that, it's married at first sight. So they're not basing the matches on, I think he'll want to have sex with her. That is the least. That's the lowest on. If anybody is coming into married at first sight, I have hardly ever seen it. If you come into married at first sight feeling like you're going to just be blown away by your spouse and vice versa, it's very few and far between. Yeah. I think about Michael and Jasmine. He was like, man, she's like the bomb, and he was like, and she was like this with him. Yeah. It'd be one spouse that is like.
Well, except for Woody and Monty, they both was like.
Well, I mean, yeah, but still, I just feel like that was.
Christine and Keith were kind of hot and heavy into each other.
But I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, but they didn't come into it with that expectation. You know, they was just like, and it happened to be that way. But anyway, his decision ended up being that he wanted a divorce. We kind of figured we was on the fence about what maybe one of them would say, but I think in the end, what we decided was they probably both
and
say no.
he should have left it right there.
But then here go this joker.
Sometimes you leave well enough alone.
Pastor Cal was like, is there some things that coming out of this you realize are deal breakers? And he was like, for me, it's self-love. And that when two people come into something, they really love themselves. When they come together, it gets even better. And she was like, what you trying to say? I don't love myself?
He said, I wake up every morning and say I love myself and tell myself, you might have heard me. Like, he said, he threw a shot. You might have heard me now, but I think you were asleep.
He was like, well, sometimes, your feelings change based on what I did. And basically what he was saying, I want somebody that's got self-love and that's not affected by the other part. The very rare, that don't happen, bruh.
Don't happen.
When your spouse is a certain way, it can bring your mood down. Like this, if I'm having a hard day at work, it can bring your mood down. You sound silly. And then in the end, her thing is, she was like, I think she was like, okay, you gonna try to say I ain't got no love for myself? Well, let me tell you this, bro. You got commitment issues.
Mm-hmm.
You said it before. That's your norm. When things get hard, you run.
You bounce.
And I feel like if it wasn't a problem with the attraction, you would have found something else to find wrong to leave out the situation.
And then he goes on and said, I was trying to figure out what marriage sex was like. Which you sound stupid.
Bro,
you're 39 years old.
He said he came into this thing. I said, again, here's the heiress we've been looking for all this time.
He ain't leave the streets.
He's coming back.
His cousin was right.
I thought that married sex would be all that. Lift my leg up. Turn me this way. And I'm like, so when you thought about getting married, the only thing you thought about was sex.
Right, because if Jasmine would have jumped his bones first... Jasmine.
You better stop putting that A on her name.
If Jasmine would have jumped his bones the first week, first during the honeymoon, if she would have she would have let him throw her leg up and all that other stuff, they'd still be married. He would have liked her. He would have been attracted to her. But because she didn't do that and she was reserved, Airris like, nope, she ain't the one for me. So let me play this game for the next 8 weeks so people don't hate me.
I said... He had you fooled for a minute.
He had me fooled.
I knew. I was like, this dude. And that, matter of fact, that was one of the things they said before they got to decision day. I think she had it in her little vignette or whatever. She was like, Airris has said he's a very sexual person, but he's never tried to have sex with me.
Yeah.
Message.
Never.
He ain't that sexual then.
Nah, you wouldn't try to jump his bones.
But they both said no.
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean,
no surprise.
No. So let's go to the other couple that we knew without a doubt was going to say no.
Okay.
Or no, we're going to order.
We're good. Go to Chris and
yeah. We're going to go in order.
Chris and Nicole.
But this one was, we knew what was going to happen here too.
It's one of the first Chris's, right, that actually make it? I think this is one of the, and this is the first Chris that actually said yes on decision day. That I can think of.
I think so.
If I'm wrong, y'all check me out. But the other Chris's didn't make it to. They made it. One Chris made it to this part. The other one didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another Chris. I think there was one more Chris. Anyway.
Chris and Paige didn't make it. Chris and Alyssa didn't make it. And I'm trying to think about any other Chris's. I don't know. But and yeah, that's what I said. I mean, this was a no-brainer. I think everybody knew that they was going to say yes. We already at their decision, but we'll give you the build-up. But, again, all the couples are separated the night before. Just going to take some time to think about it. And she said, one thing Nicole said was, I'm concerned about us having a time apart because that might make you be like, maybe on second thought, maybe I won't. But I'm like, he is not going to change his mind.
Not going to change it.
And Chris said in his vignette, he said if he said no, that's one of the reasons why he would say no. Is because of her lack of confidence and lack of confidence in herself and always questioning him. Nicole talked about, how the last 8 weeks, it's been a struggle and just trying to figure out, is this just a happy that we have right now,
Right.
or is it something we can have in the future? So I have to base my decision on not happy Nicole and Chris now, but will we continue to be happy in the future? And Chris's thing was, it's just a huge decision, and so come on, stop playing. We know what y'all getting ready to say.
Stop building up.
They meet with the experts. Nicole said she hardly slept that night. Pastor Cal expressed he likes Nicole and Chris, and he likes their vibe. His only concern is we haven't had them see a major blow up.
Major blow up.
And I'm afraid that when they have a major blow up,
It's gonna be a problem.
it's going to implode.
Well, it implodes like this.
And cause a strain.
Yeah. Pastor Cal, he said, if something goes wrong here, I'm flipping tables.
No, that's not what
What
he
he said?
said. That's what he told me. He said, I will jump over this
Jump
table.
over the table.
He said, I'll jump over the table.
Well, flip tables, jump over tables, something with a table.
Two different things. But when they come in, they talk about how they missed each other over the last 24 hours. What was a good thing. She said she was more nervous coming into decision day than she was on her wedding day. And
I didn't get that. Like, why? Like unless he told you something different, y'all talking about preparing a house and all this. Unless something really dramatic happened that night, which y'all have argued.
But she's nervous because, okay, this is the day that is really kind of everything hinges on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why she was nervous. But, they talked about how well matched they were. They both talked. They have dogs. You wouldn't actually match me with somebody that didn't like dogs. Mm-hmm. And Nicole said, then they found out, and if I remember, she said, we found out we had the same dentist.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
That, yeah.
And
then they knew each other's name going into the marriage.
Yes.
And
just how they balance each other out, with his trying to appease her and her, always questioning just how they could balance each other out. But anyway, in the end, Pastor Cal did ask them, what do you want to see more of if you say yes? And Chris says, I want to see her love herself more. Nicole says, I really want to see him follow through on the things he wants to do for himself. And Chris was like, I get that, because I can use the motivation. And so, again, in the end, Nicole's thing was, I love you. I can't imagine life without you. So yes, I'm going to stay married. Him, you make life fun. Even with the dinosaur thing, even though I didn't want to do it, I actually had fun. So yes, we want to stay married. And then he says, ooh, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, what could this surprise be? I was like, it was a bouquet of flowers.
yeah.
As if she hasn't got flowers.
Like, she should have gave us some pineapple or a key to a house. Wink, wink. I mean, I'm just saying. Keys to an apartment where she can get all 3 dogs in. Yeah. But nonetheless, everyone knew that Chris and Nicole was going to stay together. No big surprise there. Just waiting to see what happens after decision day. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, so that was everybody said they would say yes. And then we got a couple that everybody would say no. Everybody said they would say no. And that's Gina and Clint. And I really don't even feel like going through it with them because it's kind of like a waste because we know they said no. But the one thing, because my daughter was watching it with me, she said the one thing about it is the way they talked each other up, so it sounded like they was going to say yes, but they didn't.
It was just no romantic involvement. You thought they would at least get to the point where they could say yes. Or, I mean, why would you want them to say yes? Gina wasn't attracted to him. Clint was going through the motions, basically. Even when he said what he said, like, I'm going through the motions. I just want to be cordial, I want to be nice. The biggest thing that came out of me was Gina turned down $10,000 for Hank. Clint loved Hank so much, he was going to give her $10,000 for the dog.
And she said no.
She said no. Now, and they're like, well, if you would have doubled it, like $20,000, you can buy another Hank, a couple Hanks. He lives in the same condo, not like he was taking Hank and move across town.
That's why I said, instead of, they should at least, and I think they jokingly said that, we made arrangements for visitation and everything. But she was like, no, I'm not giving my Hank up.
Yeah, but I think Gina, and they talked about the slender and athletic comment. Mm-hmm. And I do think that hindered their relationship. I don't care what they say. That hindered and slowed everything down from the get-go. And it just never picked up any more steam. And they just became good friends. And they were still cordial. They're like, yeah, we can still be cordial after this. They gave each other a fist bump, which should have been a hug. But they did all that. And just like Gina and Clint, we all knew that they weren't gonna stay together. Like, hey, at this point, y'all just friends. We're friends.
Mm-hmm.
We're friends.
Which we knew. I kind of feel like it's just not as extreme. And we've said this before. The Gina Clint matchup was a lot like Jasmine and Airris, except that Jasmine was attracted to Airris. In this case, Gina and Clint, it was mutual. They weren't attracted to each other. But kind of like what Jasmine said, it was like they used that slender and athletic, and I don't really usually like gingery guys. If it wasn't that, it probably would have been something else. But that right there, they used that as the reason why, oh, this is just not going to work. And they just could not get away from that.
She couldn't get away with that.
Especially Gina. That's what I said. I would put Clint more like Jasmine, because he was willing to try to work with it, but she was just really stuck on it. And I think ultimately he probably could have got to the point where he was good with her, but she was so stuck on that and not being attracted to him that they couldn't go.
But then she said, I wish you would have tried more in this area, more, I don't want to say romantic, more intimate type areas. Like, I wish you would have tried more. But you didn't give him an opportunity to try more. You were stone-faced. You didn't want to sleep in the same room more. You didn't want to move into the apartment, first of all. Then you didn't want to sleep in the same room. And how can he try if everything you gave him was the cold shoulder?
Yeah, I think she tried to say, oh, if somebody had initiated stuff, that neither of them would have backed away from it. That's bullcrap.
Yeah, but again, I've said it all season. Clint should have went over into a room. He should have tried to rub on the booty. And try to do, at least initiate. At least you can say, I tried. Mm-hmm. To me, I think when you're trying to be a man at first sight, you should at least try. He didn't try. And not when you're drunk, neither. I'm just saying that for Clint. But, anyway. That's all we have.
And so really, those were the only decisions we got. They did touch on Shaq and Kirsten, but we didn't get both of their decisions.
We got hers.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, because she talked about it was great. The great moment for her was him meeting her family, and on going to church with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Then before we get there, though, as they're preparing for decision day, that's like we started off with them, and so I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but when they first got matched, it was all about my faith and God and stuff. And in between there, and until we saw them go to church, you didn't hear none of that.
Yeah.
And so now we're back to, oh, we both make sure we pray about it and let the Lord lead and guide us, and so He'll help us make the right decision or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And he will. I just said that to say, not that it's fake and that they didn't make that a thing in their relationship, but it was just like the in between. It was just all about the miscommunication and the lack of support. And so then we get back to what the real basis is like, okay, so based on our faith, and we're praying about it, that's the way we're gonna go.
And we feel like we're a power couple. Well, Pastor Cal keep using that term, where they feel like
I hate that.
They should be a good couple, that they should move over and work well together and do things together. And Kirsten was really sincere about her statements to Shaq. I think we can continue. Which means I say yes. I think we can do this. And then Shaq starts off with, well, I've been praying. And I've always learned, when somebody say, I've been praying, or God said, they setting you up for the okie doke. They're setting you up so you don't blame them, but you try to blame God. They feel like you ain't going to blame God. When somebody said, well, you know what, God was speaking to me last night. He said, no, okay. You about to set me up for the okie doke. And
I'm still convinced. Now, like we said, this is the one couple. Of course, we started with 5 couples.
Yeah.
We know one didn't even make it that far. But I told my husband, I said, that's production. And I feel like when we come back next week for the second part of Decision Day, his answer is going to be yes. I'm convinced his answer is going to be yes. Now, will they be together when they come back to the reunion? Probably not. But I think both of their answers are going to be yes.
Based on his body language, the way he moves, Shaq's answer is a definite no.
Listen.
He doesn't want to have to deal with her. Let me tell you
just a clue.
Listen to what he said when he was talking. He said, I wanted somebody to be supportive, wanted somebody to be with me, somebody that would rock would kind of grow with me together. That he didn't really have to teach or maneuver to do those things. He has to teach her. He wants somebody that can just hop in. Oh, that's what he said. That's the part. Excuse me. That he said we bump heads about who leads the house. And he said I want to be the leader of the home. He wants the old-fashioned relationship. He can't handle an independent woman this way.
But she really wants that too, cause she said that's what her father did. So.
But she does something. He wants a woman who just follow him around, do whatever he asks her to do, and not an independent woman who thinks on her own. And that's what I got from it. And so that's why they're not gonna be together, because she is not what he wants in a woman. She's too independent. She's too independent for him.
I still think he's gonna say yes.
All right. So you guys, look, you can say no. You guys let me know what you think. If you got to the end of this video, and as we talking about Shaq and Kirsten, leave it in the comment section below. I'm gonna leave a question. What do you think Shaq is gonna say? And Glenn says Shaq is gonna say no.
And I say he's gonna say yes.
Jackie says he's gonna say yes. What kind of deal should we have on this? Should we make a deal? I don't know. Maybe we'll tell y'all later. Make a deal? No deals? Okay, no deals.
No deal.
No deals. Anyway, thanks for rocking with us. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Let us know what you thought of Decision Day #1, which...
Decision Day be real cut and dry.
Yeah, Decision Day be cut and dry. Decision Day #1, tell me what you thought. I don't know why they dragging it on to #2, as I mentioned earlier. Could have did a commercial, whatever. Let's cut a commercial, do something, so that all this can be in to one episode. But you're gonna make me wait for Shaq to say no? Come on, y'all. Come on.
He's not going to say no.
Watch
what I tell you. It's to build up the suspense and make you think he's going to say yes.
He can say no and blame it on the Lord. Anyway, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Make sure you check us out. Once again, thank y'all for rocking with us. And have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this.